Hey, ladies and gentlemen, we are finishing up this set between Neblime and jakulangski. It's the turning, the game mode where when you lose a unit, it turns into a zombie 1 second later, as Jack found out when he tried to use Sovereigns in a game mode where the corpses get consumed 1 second after their use. Yeah, well, that was a little awkward. Let's see what happens as an oily onion, aka Zerg here, aka jakulangski, will be in the bottom left, and Neblime as Terran in the top right. He's been trying all the different races, and yes, Neblime has realized corpses get up and walk away before you can turn them. What is the turning? Well, I already explained what it is, but it's a custom game mode within Cosmonarchy, which is, in many people's opinions now, the greatest RTS experience out there. I'm pretty happy with this first showing for the turning. Obviously, there's some things that, you know, it changes things about the game mode, and it is basically like an altered melee, like, you know, our version of a UMS or a custom or something, right? It's not quite the same level because you still engage with core RTS principles when you're playing the game, but there's some, it's like a mutator or something. It's like what happens if you use the co-op mutators, but in StarCraft 2 or something like that, I guess. I don't really know what the co-op mutators are. I don't play StarCraft 2 nor co-op, but I'm imagining that it's something like that, where they use some wacky stuff. Like, I think there's like one where the units blow up after death or something. I don't know. Little things like that. Like, what if that was the case? And eventually, we haven't figured out a solution for this just yet, but eventually, it will be the case that you can use all of these different flags. Like the turning is going to be a flag instead of a game mode, so you'll be able to you know, tick off the turning as a mutator, right? And you could also add the mutator or game mode or flag or whatever you want to call it, where you're being able to select factions, or you're able to play with multiple races, right? That's omnipresence, stuff like that, right? And massacre is another one where you don't harvest gas normally, you harvest it through kills. Like, imagine the turning and massacre, where you harvest via you need to make a lot of units to get Vespene, and kill a lot of units to make Vespene, and then you also need to take a step further and go a layer deeper, and when you get the zombies, you can kill those for more Vespene. So you actually get 3 rounds of Vespene per unit, depending on who actually kills the unit. So that's pretty legit. I feel like that can be pretty cool. Neblime, I'm going to go ahead and scout and confirm that the hatch on the low ground is coming. The pool coming up very soon after. So this is looking pretty standard. We got 3 pairs of quasis coming out, a new Zerg unit, something that turns into a lot of zombies. Now, this Maverick comes into the Sims. He'll be repaired by the trusty Mason. He's not really getting too much done here because there's no workers there, and he's a little bit too scared of moving up the ramp. But hey, we did have the double stockade. Neblime did say that he loves opening double stockade, or he's always going to open double stockade in pretty much all of his games. At least when it comes to, you know, his first couple times as Terran, he is making some Hurricanes, chattest of all units. And the 8 quasis, because there was another pair made in the background, are going to come out here and see what they can do as far as damage is concerned. Turning as the Maverick stim kicks in. Zombie Hurricanes! Oh my god! Well, not going to be enough to allow Neblime to break on through, but he is going to go ahead, and he's cut workers entirely over here, and he's going to go ahead and go into the Vestry add-on. I don't know, he's got 200 minerals in the bank. I wonder what he's actually waiting for. Was he going to be doing a treasury push or something? I don't know. Who knows? Borrowed quasis to regain some health. And a hatch goes down for our Zerg player. The treasury coming on in here for Neblime after all. I wonder if the cutting of the worker was a mistake or something. I don't really know what else it would have been. In any event, I mean, these aren't exactly like full throttle, your fullest of attentions, your greatest games possible or whatever. They don't have to be. It's just, it's a custom game mode, and it's just sort of like casual pickup games of like whoever's on at the time. By the way, we have a lot more players playing these days, so if you're interested in joining the number, padding those stats, you yourself can enjoy that. My god, the zombification is nearly complete. Hey, clerics are going to be a pretty good option. We saw in the last game, if you missed it, there's always a link to the last castover in the description of the current castover, and you can follow that chain all the way back up if you want. The second match in this set, where Neblime should have lost but didn't, was when Neblime was playing Protoss, and he eventually created this sustain-oriented composition where you essentially had Patriarchs, Archons, Obtectons, Manifolds, and so he had lots of hit scan damage, lots of splash control with the Obtectons and especially the Patriarchs. And the Patriarchs also provide a lot of sustain. So his units never died and therefore never turned into zombies and therefore couldn't be used against him. And Jack also had a bit of a a flub with his composition. Stim pack is going to kick in. It's only lasting 5 seconds now, so you got to watch out for that and queue up another stim pack probably. An attempted bio bust here, but there's no secondary stim, so he's only successful at killing one of the Kagrants. Neblime might be used to when stim pack lasted 10 seconds instead of 5, so that might be what he's thinking there. Quasis are going to go ahead and make their move. Stim is a lot more impactful now while it's active. It's just that it's not active as long, right? The buff that it provides is much better. You do have to play around it. You can see here, these Quasis are basically just entering into the firing line. Not able to do too much. Trying to use the zombies to break on through, but he's only going to be good, successful at killing 2 Mavericks. His split damage a little bit awkward there. And the zombies, of course, also doing a little bit there as well to cause the clerics a little bit more frustration. I couldn't save him, and then he turned into a zombie. Probably what they're thinking. Quite horrifying, whatever. It's like, you know, Helldivers, which I've been playing occasionally with my brother, has this game mode. It's this weird thing where, like, the planet will do different things. And a lot of the times they're really lame mutators or modifiers, like, oh, when you land here, you'll have less stamina because it's hot, and your energy weapons will suck. And it's like, okay, great, I guess I'll just change how I'm playing the game then for no reason. And, you know, I feel like the changes should be stuff like this, where it's like, you know, it changes how the mechanics work or something in some way, like, or it adds some new modifier, or, you know, I guess the massacre stuff does obviously change your harvesting a lot, but I don't know, just philosophically, it seems like the wrong thing to be like, yeah, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna, you know, oh my god, Ahmed, no, don't die to a zombie Quasi. There you go, he figured it out. But yeah, I feel like philosophically the modifiers should always be something that modifies the gameplay without feeling like it just turns off options, right? And to some degree, like we saw Sovrlet's not working out very well in the last cast of this game mode. And so I can see that the same kind of criticism could be levied here. But, you know, we're still figuring this out, and maybe you can say the same about Helldivers. Maybe they'll improve. But I feel like they're probably not going to. Now, scooping up the Hurricanes, trying to combat drop, that's not going to work out. But all of the units inside the Trojan turned into zombies. Unfortunately, the Hurricanes were killed before they could really do anything. And now there's a zombie Trojan flying around. Ugh, it died. Well, at least that was somewhat interesting. We've got anchors coming on in. Neblime looking a little bit fragile right now. He wanted to get the drops done, but the Hydra timing was more than good enough. He denied the third, but was it going to be worth it at the end of the day? I'm not so sure. The Antseal trying to protect the Clerics, trying to heal the Mavericks. It's a staggered list of how the sustain is going to work, but now the zombie Zeths, well, at least they're occupying a lot of the attention of the Hydras. Anchors are finished. Got Masons here to repair, got Antseal here to shield. Feels like we are A-okay in the Neblime camp. Adding an Atlas now behind all of that. He's got plenty of gas saturation, has his quarries behind all of this, has been macroing up, getting that worker count to a pretty good spot. With the third base now operational here for Jack, he has a choice. Right now he's choosing violence instead of macro. Vladizet's going to be charging on in as he seeks to take that 9 o'clock. Last game, he went up to 3 bases, and then he took a 6 and a 9, so 5 bases, but he didn't saturate any of them until way later. And by that point, the 6 o'clock base was out of commission, basically. So here comes the commitment. The Zeths are going to charge in and try to take a lot of the fire, while the Hydras try to move past these units and get onto the high ground where they can use cliff advantage versus the things like the anchors. I'm not so sure that's the right move. Instead, he's just going to dive on right past and see how many Masons he can kill with this Hydra attack. The Zeths have occupied the front line, and their corpses are turning into zombie Zeths, which are currently continuing to occupy that front line, but I think it's going to be more than enough. We're only equalizing the worker count right now, and obviously Jack is also under attack thanks to a cheeky little drop. So Neblime comes out better for wear as far as the tech timing is concerned, as far as the worker count is concerned. He's even going to see if he can bomb in here and maybe focus down the Larvos, because it's a very high gas, low HP option here. The Zeths are going to try to safeguard this position, and I don't know if Neblime's going to even try it. He might just fly on back to the third base and see what he can accomplish there. A zombie Zeth, just roaming around, seeing what's going on. Hi, guys. I'm here. Instantly getting bopped. Here comes the drop, but it's unlikely to do too much here. Doesn't look like any more workers were killed. Our worker counts are pretty even, but with Jack still not saturating his third base, still not saturating his fourth base, it does feel like he's in a little bit of a pickle. ACKMED is chasing down this zombie worker. Fuck you, zombie. That was probably what ACKMED was saying. Still no saturation here at the 9 o'clock, but it looks like Jack just took a look at it. We saw Savants. We saw a second Covenant coming. So we are going to see some nice power. I have Sentinels setting up. Static defense is a little bit tricky in the turning because it automatically aggroes the zombies, but most of the time, that's not the end of the world. I still think it would be cool if, like, there were different types of zombies and you get different types of zombies based on, like, certain situations. Like, I don't exactly know what the conditions would be, but if some of the zombies would, like, explode on death, and some of the zombies would be, like, fast and slow, and, you know, high attack rate, and then durable, and stuff like that. I don't know. Stuff like that could be neat. A little bit more variety. I just don't know how you would decide, you know, exactly which zombie gets where. So, anyway, I'm always interested in people's thoughts and opinions when it comes to stuff like this. Feel free to share your considerations. I don't want it to just be random, because I feel like random is the death knell of competitiveness. And yes, the turning should probably at least have some aspects of it that are competitive random. The mechanics should probably be consistent. Now, Neblime has been everything, including consistent, in this match, keeping his macro up. He's currently getting flanked by the Hydras, and they are laying into his healing. And the Zets are going to charge on in and prevent any of these circuits, which just hatched in the nick of time to catch this attack force. So none of those will end up falling. We've got captaincies added. Madcap's on the way. Reservoir to cap the geysers. He's not actually capped his natural just yet, and his third is only now coming online. He's got a drop set up, so that's not a bad idea. Anseal just going to continue to oscillate over around that third. That Hydra narrowly missing out on where those drops are headed, and there's only workers and a single circuit to defend. So this 9 o'clock base will be in trouble. And the Sentinels are about to finish. Once you hit like 3-4 Sentinels, it can be pretty scary. It looks like maybe Jack wants to go for it anyway. And actually, Neblime has gone completely right past all of the defenses. He's going straight for the main with the intention of dealing with the Iral Iris. And this could send Jack back to the Stone Age. He's withdrawn all of his forces. He is not interested in losing this structure, but it's going to happen anyway. The tech snipe continues for Neblime. He will not be stopped. What happens when ACKMED surrounds the Iral Iris? What happens when ACKMED is dropped into your base? The answer is death. Iral Iris restarted somewhere else, looks like in the natural. Jack knows that he needs to use it, and he had a lot of gas being floated. He didn't make anything other than the nest, so his actual tech availability is going to be a little bit shot here. When you lose the tier 2 structure, it doesn't deactivate things like the Matraval nest. You can still make units out of them. Man, a lot of those workers living with only 1 HP as well. The main is already, you know, a little bit under-saturated at this point anyway. But, you know, the big thing is that tech out all of the tempo that Jack maybe had on the map. Neblime hasn't actually set up any defenses at 12 o'clock yet, so his this little Zeth force is definitely going to occupy the attention. Nice little bit of a flanking force to deal with this. We got Zeths combing the map, just checking, seeing what's going on here. All right. Well, all of Neblime's focus will be on this position, but he has a lot of power in the double Trojan drop here. And with the high ground taken by Jack, it feels like this force is not going to be working out too nicely. Jack thinking about it, gets the multiple Sentinels revealed. I don't think he's seen it. Okay, a Convolesque should have seen this on the minimap. I'm not sure Jack is actually paying attention, though. Doesn't seem like it. Going after the 9 o'clock, there's obviously these Excisants here. Textbook unloads here from Neblime, so the double gas base will be threatened. Now pulling all the units again away from Neblime's area of the map. Jack is trying his best to respond to this. He's got 21 workers on the way to try to resaturate this base immediately as 6 o'clock is going down. And we've got Convolesques here to create those Rill cores. Those have double health because they will end up reviving. Can the Hatteros go down? That's the question. Trying to occupy the big damage dealers here, and it looks like it'll narrowly be saved with just 100 health to its name. But this does make it very vulnerable. Any sort of counter pressure can just pop this immediately. It's going to take a while before we actually see the Hatteros go somewhere. And now, look at this. Okay, it just barely manages to, you know, be occupied. There's the one cleric still there as a zombie. Big fan. Trying to hold this 12 o'clock position. It hasn't actually been taken yet. The Ministry only now being started by Neblime. He's getting a commandment behind this to go for his patented Seraph moves. But Tier 3 is on the way from losing Tier 2 to getting up to a very fast Tier 3, all thanks to the double Excision at 9 o'clock being held the whole time. And again, occupying most of his opponent's attention using very low gas units, having a lot of Zets and a lot of everything else. 6 o'clock will be potentially popped here, but Neblime might just choose to ignore it like he did before. No, he's already queued up the unload. Anitis on the way for Jack. He's also getting the Shroud. Probably going to go up to the Cavern as soon as it is now available. Citralisk's charging on in. I'm not sure about this one. Obviously, the healing is here from the Clerics. The Trojans have already moved off to the bottom right. So Neblime is just going to go ahead and keep Jack to 4 bases as he tries to take his own 4th. This Ministry is nearly complete, so that'll be floating probably towards this position at 3 o'clock. Meanwhile, being very cost-efficient on the ramp here, eventually will be broken. Sending a couple more units up towards 12 o'clock just to see what's going on. The defensive perimeter expanding here as Neblime tries to keep his forces alive at 12. Seraph scouted. Jack should be aware of it. Couple Zets over here, not actually guarding the location of 9 o'clock, or 3 o'clock, but still there in that sense. I don't know why there's a random Shambler in the middle of the map. That's a bit strange. The Zombie Cleric will not heal you, unfortunately. All right. Well, bases being taken at the same time, 12 and 6, with the former actually being operational, the reservoir being constructed. So a little bit of pacing here. Top left now being considered. Hurakan is going to be there to interrupt that. Zorius on the way. Not a bad idea, but there's not that many of them, right? Ottstal Lava Form has just finished. Instantaneously going to the Tazral Haunt. Still prioritizing the Tazral Haunt. What is the plan? What does Jack have in mind? Because if he just goes back to Sovralets, are we really going to see the same level of power? I'm not so sure. Gosvalet's here to defend the Hacharosk. Love to see it. I'm sure they'll eventually be used. Big engagement here in the middle of the map, and it looks like Jack's forces were initially not on attack move. But hey, they can still be overwhelmed here. The Armor Rend from the Seraph is going to be very, very useful. Firing back, drawing back, trying to isolate all of these forces and soften them up with the irradiation fields. Shaman's here to sustain his forces. A similar kind of approach to army composition that Neblime showed in the Protoss game that we saw yesterday. My goodness. Well, his forces should be just fine. He was making Morning Stars. Oh, we've got a Gath-Talosk. That's interesting. He's actually going to be going for a lot of those. Going for the Axtoth. Okay, we're going to see some nice Tier 3 power come out of Jakulangski in about a minute and a half. But these Seraphs are going to see if they can shut down this 9 o'clock base. The Gosvalets here could actually be kind of useful at stopping this, but he needs more than just 2. Here comes the drop to top left. Going to take care of this. Take care of business. Zombie Gosvalets. Radiation fields to start the radiation process. There goes a lot of workers not being pulled just yet. Gosvalets trying to go after it, but they're going to die as well. And now, these zombie workers, the zombie uprising, the drop has completely dented top left, taken a total page out of the book. And we've got a nuke strike planted directly somewhere. I'm actually not sure where. Is it over here? No. Is it over here? Maybe? I think it might have been canceled. No, it was over here. I guess I just couldn't see it. All right, the Gath-Talosk is going to get bopped. A lot of Gath-Talosks getting bopped right now. But we do have some Excitralisks coming, and they can be pretty cost-efficient. It's just you never really want to attack Madcaps. Not when they're fully stacked like that. You need some Cascathalors in this situation. We need to see a Gezkath Grotto come out. But I don't think it's coming. Jack is suddenly very low on money, losing his satellite bases, and now losing a lot of his workers here. He's kept the Gath-Talosk alive. Cleric's dying. Citralisks doing their best. These units aren't too bad because they, basically when they revive, right, or when they take fatal damage, they don't actually die, so they don't turn into zombies immediately. The Knight of Cesiant has indeed never made its exit, or if it did, it was remorphed and then never turned into anything. Just Excitralisks now. That's all that Jack is making. He's got so much Vespene, but he can't really spend it right now. suffocating. Middle of the map going the way of Neblime as well. Nuking this position yet again. The Hacharosk will indeed fall. This force only now being cleaned up, but behind this, Neblime has been macroing. He's got 2k float, but he's still able to get things done. Queued up another drop that'll probably go straight for the main. Citralisk's waiting around to regenerate. There we go. They take 8 seconds to regenerate back into an attacking form after taking fatal damage. One of the ways that they are uniquely suited in this game mode, but also just pretty good in general. Can be used to break static defense positions, depending on the situation. Maybe not so many if there's a... I don't know. Honestly, these look kind of fugazi. But yeah, I think this drop is going to seal the deal. Neblime has immaculately macroed. And of course he sends me replays, where he absolutely spanks jakulangski. The drops are just too much. He was never really able to do much. And despite having Zerg Shambler, I think the Axtoth Axis is going down. It's going to be Madcaps and Harakans to close things out. Never really able to get into the situation. And Jack will go down without a win. But hey, just like the corpses in the turning, I expect Jack to rise again, except instead of being dumb like the zombies, you can imagine he'll be smart, smarter, stronger, growing in power and oil. So I hope you guys have appreciated the turning and enjoyed the casts. We'll be back with some more conventional Cosmonarchy, I think, next time around. GG.